Good evening and welcome to Jackal Garage. I'm your host, Mike, and this evening, Jeff will not be with us. His power went out. He called me around 6:30, and he told me basically he was just getting ready for the live stream, and his power went out. So he thinks there was an accident close by, and a transformer went out. So he may be joining us later this evening if his power comes back on. We'll just take it from there. Good evening, Steve and Darren. Yo, what up? So I'm gonna be kind of hosting solo tonight, which I think I can do a good job because I happen to enjoy talking about Hot Wheels. So normally, first thing we do is show photos, but unfortunately, I don't have any photos to share. But I did finish my Big Air Bel Air, and I am going to just switch cameras and show you the car on screen. So, hey, how you doing, Greg? So this is the car that I've been working on for the last couple shows. And this is the Big Air Bel Air. And this is kind of how it turned out. And I'm really happy with the way it looks. So this was the car I wanted to keep the original color, but I wanted to remove all the graphics because I didn't really like the way they looked on the car, especially for Gaslands. It was it's a gasser, so it had racing graphics on it. So we removed those except for the red ones on the hood. Added a couple machine guns here. Took off the gas can and added a mortar. And painted everything up. The other thing I did is I chopped off the old exhaust and I added that new exhaust because I thought excuse me. I thought the exhaust that was on it was kind of weak and didn't really do it for me. It kind of not even there if you look at them. But I was able to put the new exhaust on, and I just kind of thinned down. You can tell the plastic tubing's kind of thin. I just took my X-Acto blade and ran it in there just to kind of thin it down a little bit to just give it kind of more of a exhaust look. So yeah, that's kind of how that wrapped up. Now I did a little bit of a wash on it, but I didn't want it to get real dirty. Just primarily wanted it to just kind of look like something that's been in the Gaslands realm. So thank you very much, Matt. Thanks for joining us, bud. But yeah, that's the Big Air Bel Air. And that was a project that this is going to be one of the cars that you're going to be able to find at IOG because I'm building up a bunch of cars for the shop just so that they can be on display, they can be on hand for people to play. And yeah, so Big Air Bel Air, great car. I know, Matt, you want one. I've got one for you. When we meet up, I can get that over to you. But it was just a great car to work on. So we have a few different projects on the desk for tonight. Kind of just going to continue moving in the direction. I've got just so much stuff kind of taking place. Is it hard to drill little bullet holes in the sides? I want to put some battle scars on a couple of my cars. I haven't tried that, so I don't know if it would be hard. Obviously, you would just need to get a really fine drill bit. Some of the cars that you purchase, they're going to have plastic bodies, and some of them are going to have metal bodies. So obviously, if it's a plastic body, that would be easy to do. But if it's a metal body, you're just going to have to go slow. Make sure you get a metal drill bit. I'm sure you could drill some little holes and create some battle damage relatively easy. It's just pot metal, so it's not like a hard steel or anything like that. So I think it could be done. I just haven't done it. I have chopped panels off of cars and used aluminum foil to represent crumbled up metal, but I haven't actually put bullet holes in. So maybe I'll give that a shot and we can do a little tutorial on the show kind of going over that. So that could be fun. But yes, so yes, you can get that done and that'd be kind of cool. So I did go car shopping this week. So Hot Wheels has new cars floating around in the stores, and I went a little crazy and picked up some new cars. As a matter of fact, I picked up a lot of new cars. But there are some new Hot Wheels I wanted to show everybody. Um, some mostly just American kind of muscle cars, but I think a few of these are going to be great additions to the Gaslands universe that people can convert up and chop up. So let's switch camera. I do a lot of switching of cameras. The first one is this Porsche. So this is a Porsche 914 Safari, and it's a just like a little rally car, but it's got some great looks. Let me turn some more light on. Maybe that might help. Yeah, there we go. It's got a great front bumper on it, and it's got an open compartment in the back, plus this luggage rack. You got some original gas cans on there. There's a little spotlight right there. That black dot is actually a little spotlight. You could remove that and make that for a gun mount, relatively easy, but you got all this open area and things that you can do, and it'll just be a cool little rally car. It's already got a cool front bumper, so I got a couple of these because I think they'll just be good little Gaslands cars. Also picked up a Shelby GT500. So this I just got mainly because it's just a great paint job. That purple with that flame just looks cool. So I don't know if I'll make this into Gaslands necessarily. I may just tune this car up and just make it kind of a cool car, or just throw it in my collection. Who knows? That wouldn't look bad with an aggressive looking snowplow in the front. I would have to agree. That could be kind of cool on that little rally car. So I got that one. The 57 Fury, the Plymouth Fury. This car is just cool. Earlier in the year, you could find this car. It was white with orange flames. Now they've just did a different paint job on it. You just went with a blue with some different colored flames. Just a cool car. Again, the big cars from the 50s and early 60s just have, just you can do all kinds of different things because you got the big hoods and the big trunks, and they're just big cars. So kind of cool. Then I got the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon. So this is just kind of a cool race car. It's got some race graphics on it, but a modern race car. So always kind of neat. And then I got a 67 Camaro. So again, another awesome car with graphics. And again, with these, you can just, if you like the graphics that are on it, you could just dull coat it down, weather it up a little bit, change out the wheels, and you got yourself a cool car. This one already has exhaust. You can see it right there coming out from underneath the car. It's just a neat hood. It's got some louvers on it and just different things. So all in all, just a neat looking car that people could use in Gaslands or just to collect. This is Muscle Bound. So this is one of their kind of fantasy cars, or the things that they make up. I don't know what it's based off of. It's got flared fenders that you can see here in the front. You got a scoop or a hood on the top of the car, and then you got this one here over the engine compartment, which is actually a separate piece that can be taken out when you take the car apart. It's just got a mean look to it, which really screams Gaslands to me. There, great picture of it. It's got a great stance. Just needs some new wheels. But this one, muscle bound. If you see it in the store and you're interested, exhaust is coming out the back. Front's kind of plain in the front there. But just a neat car. I like the paint job. The flat black with the gray and white graphics. Really looks like a Mad Max car. What was Mad Max's car? Wasn't it like an AMT or I forget what it was, but maybe this, you could probably do something with that. Open up this back area here to work on a little bit. Maybe put a cooler engine in it, like blown out engine. You can make this look like Mad Max in a heartbeat. But neat looking car. Again, muscle bound. It's something that I just found out And then the Erikenstein is now in red. So, uh, saw this, had to have it. I really like this red metallic color. Um, just looks awesome because I already painted one red, and just looks sharp. It actually looks better in red. You know, the blue one's nice, but I really think this red color stands out a lot more. So I picked up a couple of these to add to my collection, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll just remove the graphics on one and see how it looks just with the red and go with it from there. A Ford Falcon LXBGT. Okay. Well, I don't think that's a. I don't know what this one is, but I kind of agree. It could be converted up into a Mad Max car in a heartbeat. And maybe that's what I'll do. But these are out. So these were just some of the. Let me switch cameras back. So those were just some of the new cars that I found when I was out shopping around. I did find some Matchbox cars as well, but I'll talk about those next week because there's a few more I'm looking for, and I kind of want to show them all off at the same time. But new Hot Wheels are coming out. Christmas is here amongst us. I'm already seeing all the Christmas decorations going up at the stores. So that means there will be an influx of Hot Wheels at the locals, Targets and Walmarts and any of the Kroger or Fry's stores that you shop at. They'll start getting the big dump bins of Hot Wheels in. And I'm excited about it because there's still quite a few cars that I'm looking for just my collection of cars that I have. And some of them are going to be great for Gasland. Some of them are just going to be cars that I'm just going to keep in my collection. So that's that. What we're going to do now is I want to give everyone kind of an update on some projects that I started last week, show you where things are at, and then I'm just going to get into painting. So my ramble is over, and I will I will start showing where we're at on stuff. So last week I talked a little bit about this sports car. Lights. So what we ended up doing is I replaced the tube. So I drilled a hole in the bottom, ran the tube through, put it on. I added a little bracket here to kind of act like it's holding it down to the engine. Put a little bit of plastic card going around the base here just to make it look like it's a little bit more like it's supposed to be there. It's just not glued to the body. I can see you need even Hot Wheel top cart. Happy as a fish in water. You're not too far off there, Greg. Usually what I'll do is I'll take 2 shopping carts and just start dumping them all into the one shopping cart as I take the other shopping cart and fill it up with the ones that I want to buy. It's quite the experience. But that's where we're at with this. So I'm happy with how the body's turned out and where everything's at with it. So what we're going to do tonight is I want to show you how I add bolts to vehicles. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. I'm going to add some epoxy sculpt around this styrene that I put down because there's some gaps and things that I need to fill on that. Obviously white's hard to show on the camera with all the light, but there's some gaps in the plastic I need to fill where it didn't quite reach all the way around. So that's what we're going to do with this. I also might go skipping around through the Hot Wheels sections with basket. Yes, I do. One of these days I'll take you guys out shopping with me. You'll get a kick out of it. So this is Darren's car. So this is all primed. This is just I just shot it with bolt gun, the spray paint from GW, because I have a can of it laying around. So it's good shade of gray. And what we're gonna do tonight is I'm gonna attempt and I'll do it on the show, but it's going to be an attempt. I'm going to take contrast paint, which I'm going to use the red. It's Blood Angels red. And I'm going to take the contrast paint and thin it down and try to just paint over it and hopefully come up with like a metallic red look for this car. So that's the plan for tonight is contrast paint, thin it down, paint it. Let's see if we can get that contrast metallic look going on. The hills are alive with the sound of gasoline, the rumble of the engine, the smell of gasoline. And speaking of crazy, because I am slightly crazy, it is October, and I was asked to work on an October vehicle, and I started one last week, and this is kind of where it's at. So this is my idea of a motorcycle or small car, however you want to look at it. I got the engine. It's all just used right now. I just have poster tack holding everything together. But that's the engine, which looks fine, just sticking outside of in the wheel or the hub of the wheel. And then this is what I built up for the bike, or for the rider of the man mangler, as Greg called it. So I put plastic card inside that roll cage to give it a solid look. I filled in the top where the guy was, and that's where the rider is going to be. So that's there. And then I added a little bit of support in the back of the window, kind of hold it in place. That's kind of what I created, so I'm quite happy with it. I put it on a base, primarily just so I have a way of putting the measuring sticks in front of it so that it lines up nice and even for movement. And I just got to figure out what I want to do for guns. So a couple options I have in front of me is I can easily just mount a gun on the side right here, sticking out quite quickly. It'd be easy, not a whole bunch to think about right there. But what I was kind of thinking about is maybe drilling a couple holes here in the front, putting some tubes in there with some brass rod maybe, and have those be my guns in the front. And so just have two little tubes sticking out there as guns. That is another one of my options for this car or this vehicle, motorcycle thing that I'm creating. But that's kind of where that's at. So not going to do a whole lot with it tonight. Maybe I'll start toying around with the guns and kind of get to work on that, but it's getting there. So next I just got to get it painted and we'll be ready to go. We also have the 68 Mustang. So this is the car that what I want to do with this is chop down the front so that it looks more like a kind of jacked up in the back kind of car. And I have a plan for doing that, so depending on how time and everything is, we may get to work on that. Looks good. You should put a Orky studded snow tire with various ran over body parts on it. Yeah, I could put just some spikes in the tire and just kind of maybe down the center, kind of like a mohawk type thing, just right down the center, and just add some body parts. That could be cool. Pretty twisted, but I think that would be fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, so those are the things we got on the table right now. So what we're going to start with is this. I haven't really come up with a name for this car. It's just going to be part of the sponsored Michigan team that I want to create. But what I want to definitely do is I want to add a couple bolts right here on that strap. And one of the ways I do it is I've got this really small hexagon type styrene. And these are just like plastic rods, but they're not round. They are hexagon. And I don't even know if my camera would be able to show you that. There you go. Oh my gosh, it can. So there you go. So that's what this stuff looks like. It's this plastic rod. Let me zoom back out. So the way I put this on is I'm just going to cut off a small piece, glue it on here, let it dry, and then I'll just come back, cut it down to the thickness that I want, file it a little bit, and that's basically it. It's a cheap, effective way of putting bolts on your vehicles, just to add that little bit of extra look to them that you might be after. And we'll just put a little dab of super glue on my mat over here. I don't want to get too much glue on it, because then the glue would come oozing out the sides, and then I'm going to lose the look that I'm after. So basically I'm just going to glue that down, let it hold for a little bit. And once I'm content with it being dry, I'll just come in with my cutters and just cut that off. And then I'll come in with my file and I'll just file that down to the right thickness. And there you go. I'll have a bolt on the end of my car. And I just picked up a bunch of these from the hobby store years ago, because I actually have an Orc vehicle that I was doing a lot of customization to. And I was putting rivets all over the tank that I was working on. So that's why I have this. So I'll just clean up the edge and repeat the process. We're just putting on 2 bolts. If you ever want to kind of add bolts to a vehicle, this is one way to do it. There are other options out there. There are companies that actually make sheets of resin that have like little bolt heads. You just cut the bolt heads off. But for what I'm doing, I think this is perfect. That's it. So let me cap up my glue real fast. I'm using the very last of my CA glue here. Then I'll just take a sanding stick and just kind of start filing these down until I get them to the thickness that I want. And that will be that. Looks like Cecil has joined us. Hey Cecil, how you doing, buddy? So let me zoom in on that and show you how that looks. If my camera will pick it up. Let me see if I turn my overhead light off, if that helps. There we go. So those are the 2 bolts I just added there to hold that bracket in place. Camera's not getting it 100%, but I think you get the general idea. File them down just a little bit more and we'll move on to the epoxy sculpt on them. Once I get that all painted, that's going to look really good. So what we also want to finish on this is when I was putting the plastic styrene around here to make this like coupling holding down the tube, it just didn't go on smooth. I don't know what happened. So it kind of didn't fit up and I had to make some cuts. So what I want to do is just take a little bit of epoxy sculpt and kind of fill that in just to make it look better. Then I'll just sand it down once it dries, and this car will be ready for some paint. And then I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with the wheels. So I don't know if I necessarily want to put on like off-road wheels. I'll probably just leave the race wheels on it, just for because it is a performance car. So we're just gonna do epoxy sculpt. Just gonna mix up a little dab of epoxy sculpt, and get that done. Alright. So I'm just going to pull off a little piece, find my tool here. Again, epoxy sculpt is just a really good filler because it's sandable, doesn't have the shrinkage like you're going to get with green stuff, and just works really good. I'm just trying to put on a thin coat. I don't want it to be real thick. Ah. This is going to be one of those things, once it dries, I'm just going to have to sand it all smooth and shape it the way I want. It's going to be kind of challenging to get it super perfect on the car. So I'll continue to play with this throughout the night because I need to let it kind of cure up a little bit on it. A little challenging here. It's not working for me tonight here. There we go. All right. It's getting there. Not the most exciting stuff. Hey, David, how you doing, buddy? Sorry, I was just focusing on getting this stuff done. Just doing a little epoxy sculpt work. So that's what we're looking at, is just kind of wrapping that around. And then what I'll do is I will just sand it flush. It's a little rough right now. A little bit, maybe in about 10-15 minutes, I might come back at it once the epoxy sculpt had a little bit of time to harden up a little. So just I hate it when there's just a little piece. There we go. There we go. So yeah, we'll come back at it in a little bit. But that kind of finishes up where this car's at. Just going to paint it up. And that's about it. So, and on this car, over here. So it's a single driver car. So it actually has a driver already in it. You got this kind of cool window. That all fits in there like that. And that goes on like that. And that's the car. So we'll get some paint on that. And just call it good. Yeah, I'll probably just end up leaving these wheels on. I'll glue them down in place. And just paint the 5-spoked star on those, and pretty much call those wheels done. I think those wheels will work just fine on this car. So let me get my glue out and we'll just glue these wheels real fast. And the glue ran down and got all over my finger. It happens. Alright. So yeah, I'll get that all cleaned up. It's not sitting level. That wheel's popped out. So that made a mess. So give me 1 second. One of my favorite things is this dissolve stuff. Whenever I get glue on my fingers, I can use that to kind of get it off. All right. So now we're going to try a little bit of an experiment with painting. I kind of want to create a metallic paint job, And what I want to use is contrast paint. So when I was doing my Necron project, I kind of messed around with painting some of the parts silver and going over it with contrast. It turned out with a great metallic red look. So what I want to do is try that on this car. And what I'm going to do is dilute the paint down a lot with the contrast medium. Don't necessarily want to dilute it with water, because that might cause the paint to turn more into like a wash and create all kinds of challenges. So I'm hoping with mixing it down with the contrast medium, I'll be able to get a good even coat of the paint onto the model. So we're going to try this and see what happens. This could be an epic failure, or this could be a great success. So we'll try it all over. So Steve, contrast over metal is awesome. So you've done that, Steve? Putting contrast over metal? So I got it mixed up pretty good over here. So here goes nothing. All right, Steve says it's a go. So what I'm hoping for is just this nice metallic look on the car. I'm going to assume I have to move relatively fast with this. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want it to start pooling on the car. I'm okay if the coats are thin. That's not a problem. But pooling would be an issue. Alright, I think I'm just gonna... Oh no, that's what I was afraid of. Alright, so it created some challenges. I think I'm just gonna have to give that some time to dry and see how this turns out. I would have liked to have used my airbrush, but I've heard nothing but negative things about running contrast paint through your airbrush, mainly because it's a pretty thick paint, and it will kind of clog up your airbrush. So I'm just wondering, can I get some of that off? It could be that I just thinned it too much, but it does have a nice metallic sheen to it. It is obviously going to need to be a little bit darker. That almost looks a little pink. So if we give this time to dry, we should be good. And I've never done this over metal, so it's kind of a new experience for me. Blending red over gold base coat is nice. As for airbrush, you still need to thin your contrast down with thinner rather than just run it through. Okay, but does it cause any clogging up? That's kind of what I heard, Steve. Is I guess you have to really take your gun apart and clean it out really good. I haven't done it, haven't really tried it. This probably would have been a good test model to experiment with that. So, but I'm liking the look. Obviously, I'm gonna need to touch it up, clean it up, but I need to get some more coats on there. So, for right now, we're just gonna leave that off to the side. I'm gonna come back to my can if you're not thinking. Okay, I might have to try that. That might be my next experiment. So this has had time to harden up. So what we're gonna do is just kind of shape it a little bit more. Just so that we can get the desired look that we're after. I think we're good. So again, this is all going to be sanded down, smoothed out. I think it's going to look good when it's done. And then we'll get this painted up, and that car will be done. And while we're waiting for that contrast to paint, we do have an interior. And since I'm going with a red body, trying to think, obviously a white interior would be a relatively easy thing to do and almost a little predictable to do. There's the other part. Plus I got the steering wheel and exhaust pieces here, plus the headlights and the front grille. So we need to get a little bit of silver paint on those. And thinking with that red, maybe a nice tan color could work, or I could do like an orange. So many choices in life. So I just want to kind of get some of the exhaust pipes on this painted up. And that front grille. Alright. Not rocket science. This one goes, these paint up quick. Once you start getting them all primed up and stuff, it's real quick and easy to paint these up. Alright, so that's done. I should just go ahead and do those headlights while I'm here. Okay, and then I'll hit those with some blue, and just to kind of make it look like glass. That's kind of what we did here with the Big Air Bel Air. Is we just hit it, did them with silver, and then I took a blue contrast and just went over it. So it does give a good look for glass. Alright, so my contrast is still here. Second coat looks good. I'm not getting a very smooth one right back here. All right. So that's the second coat with contrast on it. So yeah, it's looking good. I'm not getting a really good smooth finish on it. And that little dot just about ruined it. So let's see if I can finish that. So I think my last coat on it might just be pure contrast. And we'll see how that does. It's kind of a little bit of an illusion on when you're painting it. Because of the way it's drying. It kind of, you got those wet spots, and it just kind of gives you a little bit of a weird illusion watching it dry that the paint may not be even. And you know what? This looks pretty darn close to that red Erikenstein right now. That's actually kind of cool. Good luck. So I think we're going to let this dry. Yeah, it's actually coming out nice and even. But I think it's going to require, oops. I think it's going to require one more final coat with just contrast. I like using Flesh Tears Red after using for the recess shade. So is that a darker red, or is that another? Is it more of a brownish red? Because you're saying you're wanting it in the recesses, like shading. I'm not familiar with all the different contrast colors. That's actually looking kind of nice. And back here, there's actually going to be, it's a darker red. Okay. So back here, there's actually going to be an Imperial Outpost Games logo on the back. So I think that's going to work out quite nicely. I really like this little secret door. Or not really secret, just a little side door. I could just imagine that being used to like drop spikes and stuff out on the road. Or maybe even open it up and shoot their handguns or something through it. But the way with watering it down, it is getting into all the recesses. It's looking good. But yeah, I think maybe the last coat's just going to have to be more contrast, not as watered down. Just to get that final evenness throughout. I like it, Steve. I think this turns out really good, buddy. Alright, so now we're getting our color down. So we got this red. So we want to figure out some kind of like a leather interior. Probably go with like a darker brown for the interior, then give it an Agrax Earthshade wash. And I think that might work out just fine for this. So we're going to go Pro Acryl Dark Golden Brown. I think that's going to give the look we're looking for. Alright. Little dab of paint. Little paintbrush. And we'll get this painted up. Again, this car is specifically being built for Darren over at IOG. He is big into his classic cars, like the old Duesenbergs and stuff like that. I happen to have this car laying around, so I figured why not. Hopefully he'll get a chance to play the game with it. Yeah. Like pre-highlighting to something since we will allow them to already contrast thinking. So what you're talking about doing is doing some bright highlights onto your Necron models, then doing the contrast over them? Yeah, because that would be cool. Because I think that's one of the things they don't really explore too much with contrast is putting it over some of the different colors. Yep, that'd be cool, Steve. I have my Necron army. I still need to get the codex for them, though. But I think pre-shading and then doing contrast will really work good on a Necron army, especially if you're, depending on what colors you're going to go with, maybe pre-shading some of the, like with the greens and stuff, kind of coming off the weapons. Alright. That was quick. Just painted up a little bit of interior. Nothing too exciting. Once this dries, then what we'll end up doing is just running some Agrax Earthshade over it to just kind of get some darker colors in the grooves of that seat. And that should work out just fine. Lead Belcher, Runefang Steel, and then Stormhost Silver, and hit them with whatever contrast. Maybe like a purple contrast. Kind of make it look like burnt metal, maybe. Purple and blue. That could be fun. I like it. I like the direction you're going. Can't wait to see that. My Necrons are all like chipped up and weathered. I had a blast painting those guys up. Alright. Should paint that steering wheel. We'll just do it in the same color. Still want to make it look like a steering wheel, even though it's just a flat piece of plastic. There we go. Even flat plastic can look good. Alright. Now we will venture into this car trying to give it that last coat. So we're just going to go straight contrast. I may just dip my brush in the medium and then into the paint just to kind of wet it just a little bit. And here we go. Some more paint. This has been a fun experiment. I'll say that much for sure. Doing this live on stream. I've never done this before on such a large piece. I guess I've done some little pieces on like the terrain on the Necrons. And one of the things, the challenges I'm seeing is you can see it doesn't dry, like it's drying kind of oddly, and it almost makes you feel like you didn't get enough coverage on it. And I want to go back and like take stuff off and move it around, but I think I just need to stop and just let it go. Just let it do its thing. Almost feel like this right there. There's a little, let me see if I can zoom in on that. Just a little blemish right there. That kind of bugs me. I probably didn't get it quite enough there. So we might look at this one more. I don't know. But I think it's looking good. I think that's a nice, boy. It's pretty darn close to this Erikenstein, which I do like that red. So I think maybe next I will try this through the airbrush and just thin it out a lot and see how it does. And it is getting the recesses really nice, so everything kind of looks good. Again, if the paint's not perfect, it is Gaslands, so I think I can justify it not being quite perfect, but it does look good. And again, with this red, I'm leaving the fenders black. So you have this red and black looking car. The decal that's going to go on here is going to be black. What I'll probably end up doing is seal coating it with a gloss varnish and then get the decal on it. I don't think I would want to do a flat finish on this red, but man, that's a really nice looking red. I'm happy. Okay. All right, so let's Agrex Earthshade is on my desk someplace. So we're just going to give this seat a quick wash. Yeah. Give it a quick wash. And then I might dry brush it after the wash dries, just so that it all stands out just a little bit better. Oops, paintbrush is in the water there. That ain't good. All right. All right. Let that dry. That's how easy this stuff is. I'm just really happy with how that turned out. I think it looks really nice. Maybe I'll do the door handles in chrome. But I just want this to look like a more of a sophisticated kind of car. So yeah, it's a little splotchy here and there. I'm not going to get too worried about it though, because I think it's going to work for what this is. So I think we're good. All right, I'm going to take another jab at this for a little bit, just to see where everything is. Alright, it's also a great substitute for Nolan oil, if you can get any of that. Is that a Games Workshop color, Steve, or is that something else? Another brand? Oh, it's the contrast. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I've got Black Templar, I've got Orc Flush, I've got the blue, I think it's Gilliman's blue, or... No, Talisar blue. And a yellow. I got the yellow. I don't know what color the yellow is. I just bought a few when they came out. I just wanted to mess around with them, see how they do. I like them. They do provide a lot of, they're just a good, useful tool. Excuse me. Warp Lightning. Is that like a fluorescent green? Oh boy. Got a tickle in my throat. Alright. Yeah, and I'll keep putzing around with that all night. Just until I can get the shape I want. No, it's bright as Tesseract Glow. It would be a contrast version of doing Salamander Army quickly. Oh, cool. Cool. Salamanders have become popular again. Alright, alright. So I pretty much got through most of the projects that I have, so I want to go ahead and get to work on this. So this is going to be a fun little conversion, but I need to come up with a plan for chopping off the front end of this car. I did find wheels that I want to use off of this Bug, this Volkswagen Baja. I like these little 5-star spoke wheels. They're kind of thick like the wheels that are already on this car, but they're slightly smaller. So I think these are going to work perfectly on this car. They should actually even kind of fit the wheel well of the car itself. So that actually works out pretty good. Salamanders deserve to be popular. Best chapter. Totally not being biased. You're not being biased. All right. I don't believe you for some reason. I don't know why. I think you're being a little biased, but who am I? I think orcs are the best, and I am biased though. All right. So what we want to do with this car is we need to chop off this front end. What I was thinking was going to be the best way to do that would be to glue the interior down, because this front piece will act as a bridge, keeping all of this intact once I cut the front off. So, no glue on top. So if I do this, glue this down. That'll bridge all this together, and then I can just bring my saw in and cut it all down. So what we're going to do first is take off the front wheels. All we have to do is chop that little piece out. Front wheels are out. I'll put those in my bucket of stuff that I keep collecting. And then we can just glue this down in place. And then we should be able to just cut this off nice and easily. And all this component, this front component, will stay glued there. We won't lose it, and the car will still be able to go back together. Then we just got to put front wheels on. So let's just get it cut tonight, and kind of make that happen. This is going to be a fun car to build. Oh, a lot of glue there. So with the glue in place, I cleaned out the nozzle of this glue, and now it's like flowing out. I probably shouldn't have cleaned it. And what we'll end up probably doing is just using a hacksaw. I want to keep these front lights on the car, so I don't want to cut too high. So probably just going to cut kind of low. Speaking of losing it, don't you just love dropping a small bit into the carpet and having to look around? I don't like it, but it happens to me on a regular basis. Dropping just like anything, an arm, a gun. They haven't designed a carpet yet that's really meant for hobbyists, so we don't lose parts. I have a brown carpet in my room, and when I drop parts on it, sometimes I just take the whole carpet outside and shake it off and try to find it. So yeah, we're just gonna cut that off and see what happens. Let me get my hacksaw. Again, going to be using my Harbor Freight hacksaw. I think this was $6 or something like that. It wasn't that expensive. So uh-oh. My glue didn't quite dry yet. Alright. Well, we'll start cutting slowly, keeping our hands in the way. I'm at an angle, so that's obviously not good. Alright, so this isn't going to work quite yet. So I'll have to let that dry. Well, that's a bummer. Back at my old place, I had gray carpet, which impossible to find anything. That's a bummer. Yeah, I know in one of the magazines I get, they actually make a special apron that attaches to the front of your hobby desk. So you got like little clamps that you would hold it down. That way if a part drops and it comes towards you, it actually falls in your apron and kind of spreads across your hobby desk. I think it was like a model railroad magazine or something like that. And that was kind of a neat concept. I never bought one. I should probably buy one. Alright. So we're just going to start chopping on this. I should probably do that on screen so it looks a little better. So we're kind of getting through it. So the glue didn't hold, but it held up here, and that was the important part. I was hoping this was going to work out a little bit better, but sometimes the best laid plans don't work. So this kind of was a flop, but the front's in place, so I should be good. Yeah, what a mess that made. Some of the best thought out plans don't ever work. So what I'm probably going to end up doing, I might just cut this straight off. Where is this? Voila. Hey, I found a piece on my desk. What's that from? I don't know, but that's a cool looking piece. All right. Dude, all right, we're getting there. We're getting someplace. So it's kind of hard to show, but that's kind of the look we're going for. We want the front end to be low and the back end to be lifted. So I'm gonna have to do some more gluing of it all together to make this work. I was kind of hoping that front end might get a little bit lower, but actually gives me a good spot to put my axles through so that I can actually run the wheels through. So I think we're good. Clean up some of this mess. And then I'll get this glued in. Because this just has to be glued in because this is the majority of the car right here. And then obviously I'm going to have to fill in some of the plastic around here to make it look solid. But for right now we just need to get it glued together so that I can start designing everything. It's going to be one of those cars that's just going to take a while to get built because it's just going to require a lot of just design stuff. Just getting plastic in and just moving things around and seeing how it all comes out. There are no blueprints for these cars. You just kind of do it. Some more glue right there. All right. So that actually just needs to dry, and that's going to take a little while. I put a lot of glue on that. Don't know if it was the type of glue just isn't, the Zap-A-Gap just isn't really holding this plastic together, or I was just super impatient and didn't let it dry. I probably should have just glued this first thing this evening, let it set, and then come back to it. But I didn't know all the other projects were going to go so quickly as far as getting them done. So it happens. Sometimes things just get done quicker than you anticipate. So this all needs to be sanded down a little bit, cleaned up. I want to chop the rest of those off back there. I did a very crazy thing yesterday. I actually changed my blade on my razor, my X-Acto knife. So I'm sure I will end up cutting myself. And that's just not going to work. Alright. So I just need to leave this alone. I keep touching it and everything keeps moving around. So I don't know if that Zap-A-Gap's working that good on the plastic or not. So we'll just let it dry overnight. And oh boy. That was Jeff just texting in, letting me know that there's still no power at his house. So I better get that, otherwise it's going to keep beeping all night. All right. This interior is actually quite nice because you have a actual formed steering wheel, which looks kind of cool. Nice seats, nice roll cage. So this is actually a really nice interior. So I may not be putting the windows back in just so I can show off the interiors a little bit more. We'll see. One of the other things I need to do with this is this post is going to have to get cut off a little bit smaller. Sorry about that. Because right now it's going to stick all the way through the car, so I need to cut that off a little bit smaller. I happen to get super glue all over the place, so. And there's the seat, so we're going to do a quick dry brush on that. Make it just a little bit lighter brown. Let's see here. Light umber. All I want to do is try to get those ridges to stand out just a little bit. So, is that... Yes, it is. Whenever you hear that sound, that will be Darren's car rolling around the corner. In his little old-timer car. It's always fun is at work when I'm talking on the radio at the same time someone decides to text me. Everybody at the department gets to hear my cell phone and hear what my little ringtone is. And I get talked to by my boss. All right. So we just want a light dry brush on this. Just kind of want that to stand out just a little bit more. Perfect. So those are the seats right there. So quick wash, good to go. I'm not interesting. I just keep my phone up. Well, I don't know if it's not about being interesting. You just don't want everyone to know um, what your favorite sounds are. I thought I was an original with that sound until I was at the store one day and somebody else had that sound. I thought it was my phone going off. All right, so we got a lot done tonight. We're kind of up on 8:30, and I'm pretty much at a stopping point for all the projects that I have on my table right now. I'm happy with how this paint turned out. I'm really happy with how this paint turned out. I don't have a super solid color all the way around. It is a little splotchy. Like down here, it's super dark, but I'm okay with that because that could be dirt and grime and all that kind of stuff. Back here, it just didn't come out super smooth. I am going to put a decal there, so hopefully with the decal there, that will take away some of that. But I'm happy with the way it all turned out. Stare downs after saying can only be one. Yes, yes, and it shall be me. But I'm happy with where all this stuff turned out. The seat's done, the interior's done. That was a relatively simple project. There wasn't a whole lot to do there. But I don't want to touch this car. First of all, I got a little bit of glue on my hands, so I don't want to mess up the paint. So I'll leave it all alone. And the next thing I need to figure out with this car is what to do with the wheels. So this is a metal base. As you can tell, the metal base is old and kind of pitted and doesn't look that great, so it will need to get painted. I like the spoked wheels, so I may just glue the wheels down, prime the whole thing, paint it, and just be done with it. And I'll probably just do it in like lead belcher or something like that, and then just maybe do a dry brush of a lighter silver, and I think that will look just fine, especially, you know, with this black interior covering up the majority of it. You're really only going to see the bumpers, so I'm okay with that. So hopefully I can have this car done. Give the rims, those are tiny logos. I don't think you would ever see them. That would be some really tiny logos. I'll just say it's done, and I'll let you try to see it. I could put spikes on the wheels. I do have spikes that I could put on the wheels, but I think that might take away from the overall look of the car. So probably just get this all glued in place, prime it all up, and just call this one good as far as that goes. And I'll just paint those rims silver. And yes, I'll put logos on them for you there, Steve. We can make that happen. This is getting there. I just need to let the epoxy sculpt dry, sand that down a little bit, just clean it up, make it all look smooth, and then this will get primed, and then I need to get this painted. I have not decided on a color for this yet, but I'm thinking something a little bit sporty. So, flat black would be okay. Maybe do some kind of a stripe or something on it, or maybe just paint it like a bright yellow, and then just do all this in black and chrome and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll figure that one out. And then we got the big Mustang here. This is all just drying, so once this is all dry, life will be good. So I can start working on it pretty hard. Hopefully, oh, there it goes. So we got that front end chopped off. So I will need to, boy, that glue ran all over the place. So I will need to finish out, I'll have to detail this up just so that it all makes sense and looks right we're gonna have to line up the wheels, figure out where to drill a hole for the wheels, so that everything fits in there right and looks right. I might end up having to add an axle, which will be fine. It's not that hard to do, and then put the wheels in that way. So we will cross that road when we get there. Right now, I just gotta let the glue dry. Unfortunately, it's all over my hands. Let me switch cameras back. Anyway, so that was my work for tonight. I feel I got a lot done and accomplished, and I'm happy about it. Got some, just getting projects done, and they're kind of just flowing now that we've been doing the show on a regular basis. I'm also going to continue working on my little orc bike tire thing that we quite haven't figured out what we're going to name this yet. And now I might get that ready to go for next week so we can start painting on it and having some fun with that project. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to look cool. So, but that's about it. A good time, Steve. Looks like you're like the only person watching me tonight, buddy. So I appreciate you hanging out. It looks like everyone else kind of drifted away after the show got started. Probably have other things going on in life right now. So thank you very much. Next on Wednesday we'll be back on the Wolf's Den, and that'll be Darren, Jeff, and myself. And I don't know, Steve, one of these days, did you get your camera and get your stuff all ready to go so that you can get on the show with us on a Wednesday night? Love to see you, hang out with us, painting your Tyranids. That'd be kind of cool. But I don't know if we're gonna have any other guests, so we'll figure that out as we get closer to Wednesday night. And then Thursday we have a special IOG Academy going on. I just got to bring in my computer to run the right software. Okay, for StreamYard, you don't run any software. It's all handled online. It's an online service. So basically, we'll send you a link, and you just open up the link, and they'll take you into StreamYard. You'll give permission to StreamYard for your cameras and all that stuff, and you'll be good to go. Now, software as far as webcams and things like that, then yes, you would just need to do any of that software. Did you get a video capture card? Because in order to run the Handycam, you have to have a video capture card. So you should be good if you got all that. So we can get you on, dude. That'd be awesome. Have you on the show, hang out, paint some. I do enjoy the hobby. I do enjoy painting. So Thursday night, though, is a special academy, which is going to be on edge highlighting with Jeff. So probably be about an hour and a half class teaching you all the ins and outs of edge highlighting. Hopefully we'll get a lot of people to check that out because it's free, and it's just something to do on a Thursday night. And then again, back into Saturday morning, it's What's New with Mike and Jeff. And we'll just talk, build models, paint stuff, and have a good time. Painted that up for him. I just want to double check. I think I'm going to be getting Chaos Knight to paint up for my buddy who just got engaged. Cool. Chaos Knights. That'd be fun. I think I have one or two of those knights laying around my room someplace. I think they're awesome models. I don't think I have a Chaos one, but I have a couple of the regular ones. I just think they're awesome. So, cool models. Anyways, Steve, thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout the whole show, buddy. I appreciate it a lot. It's nice to have someone to talk to. I'm painting, working on cars, and just doing my thing. But I'm going to call the show up, call it an end, and I will, hopefully, you'll be on the show soon, Steve, so that we can hang out and paint. So until Wednesday night, have a good one. Take care. Bye.